Hi everybody, it's Bob Gower of bobcanhelp.com. And in my last video we talked about the importance of not saying no to a CEO and the importance of asking the right questions in the product planning process. And I promised that we would talk about stack ranking next. Now stack ranking is how I approach almost everything within an organization, because if you're asking questions in isolation, you're generally asking the wrong questions. You always have limited resources in any organization. And if you always have to be applying those resources in opposition or sort of in comparison to something else. So let me explain how I do this and how I approach it. So I'll go into a meeting with a management team, and let's say they have an idea of something to work on. They say, well, we should work on green. I said it's represented now by this green idea, and I often use 3x5 cards. Write something on it and say, okay, we have this idea. Here's the idea, then let's work, and should we work on it or not? Well, if it's the only idea they have, then of course, yeah, let's work on it. But you know, how likely is that? Always there's actually 500 ideas, and we're trying to trim it down to the 5 best that we can talk about in this meeting. But let's just talk about 2 for now. So let's say I have 2 ideas. So I have green and I have purple. So the questions I start asking the management team are questions about the return on the investment, the relative complexity, the urgency of each, how many customers want it, and often like how does it fit in with the overall mission of the company. There are a lot of different questions you can ask. I'll go over a few of them at the end. But basically you're trying to figure out which of these things is more important, because we could work on them simultaneously. That's of course possible, but if we work on too many things simultaneously, nothing is going to get completed, nothing's going to get finished, right? So what we want to do is we want to decide always which is most important. So if green starts competing with blue, then I know which one should win. So I begin stack ranking, which means I stack it and I put numbers next to it and I say, okay, green is 1 and purple here is 2. So we now know which is most important. And so if, again, we have competing resources, we know which direction to go. But let's say we have another idea come in, and this one I think was called Ocean in Keynote, this color. It's some kind of, gosh, I don't even know what to call it, aqua, I guess, this sort of bluish idea. So we have this idea that's blue, and we're like, well, what should we do now? Well, so now we can ask our question, like, is it more important than green? If so, of course, it goes right to the top. Is it more important than purple? If that's the case, then it goes in between, and if it's not, then it goes on the bottom. So again, we're stack ranking, and we're weighing it against. We're saying, should we do this? Should we do that? Which is more important? That's really the question we're asking here. And so, of course, now here I've decided that it's actually more important than purple, but less important than green, so I've got a nice little stack rank. And then let's say another idea comes in, and this one is gold colored, and we actually decided that's less important than the blue, but more important than the purple. Now, you might think that purple's going to lose out, right? Purple's never going to get developed, and this may be the case. And people say, well, isn't that a problem? And it's absolutely not a problem. And the beautiful thing about it is we've never said no to purple. As a matter of fact, we probably even stop talking about it after a while. If this process continues and purple gets pushed far enough down, that we don't even need to bring it up anymore. And maybe it eventually falls off of our backlog, or maybe someone brings it back at some point. Some market condition changes, there's some new customer insight, something new happens, and you bring it back. The beauty of this is you've never said no. You've never, you may have fought, but you're always fighting about the right things. You're fighting about the return on the investment. You're fighting about the relative complexity, the difficulty of something. You're not fighting about in these sort of, is it good or is it bad? Should we do it or should we not do it? Because the answer is yeah, let's do it. But let's do it in the right time, in the right order. So again, my name's Bob Gower, bobcanhelp.com. Leave some messages here on my blog. Would love to hear from you. I'd especially love to hear how I can help, how I can be of service to you. So thanks so much for watching.